Bruce said he might be a little bit late, right?
Hey, Dylan, I'm showing two screens for Gary here, one with the picture, one without.
I look like you joined twice.
I did. How do I get rid of one?
I can kick you out on one.
That'll work.
Bye. There. Now he's gone. Oh, no, he's still there.
Thank you, Dylan.
And you picked the right one. Congratulations, Dylan.
I should have done the other one? Oh, sorry.
No, you picked the right one. Oh, yeah. Depends
Can
on
you hear
how
him
you
now?
look at it.
One Gary is enough, I think.
Dylan, it's
Yes.
7:30. Do we have the applicant on the line yet?
Yes.
Which applicant is the first one?
There is going to be only one. One is being carried tonight. You got that right, Sergio? That Phillips is being
Yeah.
carried to June 30. So,
Yeah.
so Kelly Turtain and Xiomara Paredes will be on.
All right, we also have a dial-in, too, with a 609 area code.
Okay, I don't know.
Oh, all right. Oh, wait, I have more people. I have a Danny.
All right. No, I don't. The only ones I know of are Kelly and Xiomara. So,
All right. But she's raising her hand. Wait, hold on. Or do you want me to have her talk really quick to tell us what she wants to tell us and then start the meeting? Or you just want to start the meeting and bring her in and then have her tell us? Because she's raising her hand right now.
Yeah, I'd like whoever is currently muted but is an applicant or an attorney or an architect to just announce themselves just so we could get started.
okay. So,
I brought her in. She says unmute. There she is.
Hi,
Hello?
can you hear me?
hi,
Yeah.
Xiomara.
Hi. Okay, so should I start?
No, not yet.
Okay,
Just wanted to know that you're here.
okay.
Is Ms. Curtain on?
Yes. Here she is.
There we go. Okay. Could you unmute her and just have her say hello to make sure technology is working?
Hi, this is Kelly Kirtane. How are you?
Hi, Kelly.
Hello.
Hi, guys. Thank you.
Great. So just hang on. We get a few things out of the way procedurally, and then we'll get started.
Sure.
Dylan, is there anybody else who's dialed in?
There's two other people dialed in, a Danny and a 609 area code.
I think they might be neighbors.
All right. Yep. So that's fine. So what we'll do, if you're listening, those two that have dialed in, we will give you an opportunity to either ask questions or to make comments. And at that time, we'll unmute your mic, and you're welcome to go ahead and do that at that time. All right?
And now we have a third. So, okay.
Okay. Yeah. So everybody just who's on the line and who's not the applicant or the architect, just please be patient. We'll get to you. You could either ask questions or make comments or both. All right. So since everybody is on, let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. I'm going to make just a couple of opening statements here because this is a virtual online public meeting. We want to make sure we just get everything on the record. Dylan, can you confirm that this is being recorded?
Yes, it is.
All right, thank you. All right, for the duration of the coronavirus health emergency, Village Hall is closed to public and meetings are held with participants at remote locations connecting to conferencing software provided by Zoom.us. Members of the public are invited to view meetings live using the Zoom client, which also allows them to raise a hand and contribute with voice and video when they're invited to do so during public portions of the meeting. A link to this meeting has been provided, but in the alternative, if someone has not been able to join a live meeting, they could contact Jane or at her phone number or via email. So Jane, we'll do a roll call later. We'll call the meeting to order and start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands
One
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty
and
justice
for all. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by posting on the bulletin board in the Village Hall, by mail to the Ridgewood News, the Record, and by submission to all persons entitled to same as provided by law of a schedule including date and time of this meeting. This won't be applicable tonight, but please note that a curfew of 11 p.m. is strictly adhered to by the zoning board. No new matter involving the applicant will be started after 10:30 p.m. 10 p.m. we will make a determination and advise applicants as to whether they will be heard. If an applicant cannot be heard because of the lateness of the hour, the matter will be carried over to a future meeting to be determined by the board at 10 p.m. Roll call, please.
Sergio Allegra,
Here.
Greg Brown,
Here.
Gary Negritz,
Wait, he came out. I'm bringing him back in. Hold on.
okay. I'll go on. Diana Rule,
Here. Excuse
bless
me.
you. John Pepitro,
Here.
Isaac Lebo,
Here.
Matthew Bandel,
Here.
Daniel Perlman,
Here.
Okay. Now we need to approve the minutes of June 1, 2020. Can someone make a motion?
I make a motion to approve the minutes of June 1 as they were provided to the board.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Isaac, I believe.
okay. All right, Chairman Allegra,
Yes.
Greg Brown,
Yes.
Gary Negritz is not back yet.
No,
Diana
yes.
Rule, Diana Rule,
Sorry, yes.
John Pepitro,
Yes.
and Isaac Lebo.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Now is the time for any board member to make comments on matters not on the agenda this evening. Anyone? All right, there being none. And now for members of the public who are listening in, Dylan, if you could unmute their microphones. If there's anyone who would like to make a comment on matters not on the agenda this evening, i.e. not on the application at hand, but on anything else, now is the time.
They're all muted.
Okay. And no one's raised their hand or said anything. All right, so we're going to move on, assuming that there are none. All right, so notice to anyone else listening as well, and for the record, the following applications will be carried to June 30, 2020 without further notice, and there'll be no prejudice to the board in this regard, and that's the following matters. Shadow, 302 Prospect Street. Perman, 247 Oak Street. Gazzini, 523 Lotus Road. Sanchez, 11 Randolph Place. And Jane, is the Phillips matter also being carried to the 30th, or is that a different date?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so anyone who is on the line with respect to the Javon and Alicia Phillips matter at 367 Marshall Street, that is also being carried to June 30, 2020. No further notice, no prejudice to the board in this regard. All right, so that gets everything out of the way, and now we can begin with the application of Anirudh and Kelly Curtain. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. It's an application to permit the construction of a two-story addition, second-story addition, one-story addition and patio, which will result in a rear yard setback to the addition of 22.8 feet, to the attached garage of 28.25 feet, and to the rear landing of 17 and 18 feet where 30 feet is required, and a setback to the patio of 5 feet where 10 feet is required at 20 South Pleasant Avenue, block 4203, lot 6 in an R2 zone. Now, before we move on, has Bruce dialed in yet?
No, not yet.
No.
No.
Sergio, we don't have Bruce. I need to recuse myself from this. So that's
All right,
what
so
it is. And also,
Yep,
you're
so
still missing Gary. He hasn't come back.
yeah, so we've got, let's just see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. So we still have a quorum even without you and Gary, but we don't have a Bruce. Why don't we memorialize the two resolutions?
Okay.
We'll just take a pause instead of going into the application. Let's memorialize the two, and can we text Bruce and see if he's going to be joining?
Yeah, I can.
Can you text Gary too? Because he's joined a couple times, and then when I promote him, he leaves.
All right, so Ms. Paredes and Ms. Curtain, just please bear with us. We want to make sure that we have Gary on, who's one of our board members, if he's able to dial in, and our board attorney has had an emergency meeting that he said was hoping to wrap up at around this time, and he's hoping to dial in. So just hang on for just a couple of minutes, please.
I'm texting Bruce a minute.
Yeah.
Okay, so you want to do the resolutions?
Yes, please.
Okay, so we'll do the Manger residence, 590 Cliff Street. Chairman Allegra,
Yes.
Greg Brown,
Yes.
Gary, Diana Rule,
Yes.
Matthew Bandel,
Yes.
and Daniel Perlman.
Yes.
And we had the Berna residence, 454 Westina Terrace. Chairman Allegra,
Yes.
Sergio,
Yep. Oh, am I muted?
this for Berna, yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Can you hear
okay.
me?
Yeah, Greg Brown,
Yes.
Gary Negritz, I'm sorry. Diana Rule,
Yes.
John Pepetro,
Yes,
and Isaac Lebo.
Yes.
Okay. All right, that's the resolutions. He said 10 minutes.
And so we
Bruce.
can't proceed without him. So we're just gonna have to wait for 10 minutes.
Right.
Right. Yeah. All right. So there's really nothing much we could do. Just I would mute your mics and be patient. All right. Thank you.
Jane, is there a way to get in touch with Gary to see if? Oh,
Okay.
wait, he just came
Oh.
back in. Gary, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I'm afraid to invite you back in because every time I do, you leave.
Don't do anything because it got so confused the last time I had to turn the whole system off.
Ah, all right. I'll leave you like this then.
Nobody wants to look at me anyway. My hair gets any longer, I'm gonna have to braid it.
You'll bring that back, the mullet.
All right. So what are we doing? We waiting for Bruce?
yes, Gary, I think so.
Oh, okay, not a problem. I'm not going anywhere anyway.
I see Bruce's name there.
That's a good thing.
Bringing them in.
I'm here, folks. Sorry for the delay.
Hi, Bruce.
How you doing?
Great, welcome. All
Hey,
right.
Bruce.
All right, so we'll start this part over again. All right, so this is the contained matter and application to permit the construction of a 2-story addition, 2nd-story addition, 1-story addition, and patio, which will result in a rear yard setback to the addition of 22.8 feet.
Just to point
Can you
out,
not
there's
hear
a question. Just to point out, there's a question to the panelists about the matter that's being carried. So I just wanted to point that out before you get too far down.
The Phillips matter?
Yes. If you look in the chat.
Let's take a look what the question is.
Yeah, chat just popped
Sorry,
up.
I didn't mean to interject there.
All right, so the question is, I have a question. I'm the neighbor of Phillips, and I have one question about the construction. Did you say June 30th is the time for review of this proposal? So do we have to type the message as a response, or can we just verbally say it?
You can put it on the record, and at that point, follow up with a letter to them. You have plenty
Okay,
of
so this is,
30th.
yeah. So, yeah, Ms. Schreiber, this matter is being carried until the 30th. I will just let you know that there are 5 applications that evening. I'm not sure where this one will be in those 5. It could be that the matter will be carried yet again. If it is carried again, we will make an announcement on June 30th as of the new date for review. Can you confirm that you heard that? Maybe Dylan, you could unmute her.
Mr.
All
Chairman.
right, yeah.
Mr. Chairman.
There you go.
Yeah, Dan.
I just wanted to confirm what Bruce said. I want to make sure, did Bruce understand that this is not the applicant when he said follow up with a letter? I don't think we would normally follow up with a letter to a member of the public. We would only follow up with a letter.
I'm suggesting you send a letter to the member of the public if they're not acknowledging tonight at this meeting on the Zoom that they understood it.
Okay.
Got it. So, Ms. Schreiber, are you, well, she's still muted.
Yeah,
Can you unmute her mic, please? Or can you unmute yourself and just confirm that you understand what we just said? All right, well,
You might have stepped away.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if she heard it.
That's why I'm suggesting just follow up with a letter that's more than 10-day notice, so it's easy, June 30th.
I'm also just gonna type a response as well.
Can you hear me? It's Mrs.
Yes.
Schreiber. Yeah, Sue Schreiber. I'm the neighbor right behind Alethea and Jevon. I just had a question about the generator platform. I'm not sure what that means and where it will be placed. Is it going to be right near the?
Okay, so the matter is being carried until the 30th, so there won't be any discussion of the matter this evening. However, if you have questions on the application, Jane, how can Ms. Schreiber get a copy of the plans so she could review them prior to Thursday?
The plans are online. If you go to the Village of Ridgewood website.
Okay.
And look at the, if you go to boards and committees and to Board of Adjustment, it says applications, and you'll see that application there.
Okay.
With photos and the plans and drawings of where everything's going to be.
Okay, so it's Board of Applications?
Right. And if you have any problem, if you want to, I think my email is on your notice. You can email me tomorrow and I'll explain it to you then too.
Okay, I don't see, I'm sorry, for some reason, I'm not getting, what is your email? I'm sorry.
It's J Wondergem.
Okay, J Wonder,
Wonder, GEM like in Mary,
okay,
at ridgewoodnj.net.
okay. Thank you.
Sure.
.net. That's all I wanted to ask is about that generator.
Okay.
I have no idea what that's all about. Okay.
All right, great.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, great. So we will now move on. I'm not going to read this. Let's move on to Curtain 20 South Pleasant Avenue. Ms. Paredes, are you there?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
You could proceed.
Do I need to get sworn in?
Yes, so just,
Yes.
you raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please proceed.
Thank you. Good evening. We're in front of the board tonight for five variances to the rear yard. Although 5 sounds like a lot, they're all relatively minor and harmless. Our project proposes additions to an existing house which is non-conforming to the rear yard setback. The required setback is 30 feet, but the existing on this house is 22.79 feet. The difference being 7.21 feet. And I will explain tonight that we will not be worsening this nonconformity. So the variances are the second floor addition that will be aligning with the existing footprint, and is because it's aligning would be the same as the existing house, where the required setback, rear setback is 30 feet. The proposed is 22.79 feet, and the difference is 7.21 feet. The second one is we're adding a garage to the right side of the house. There is an existing garage that we are removing on the left side, and we will be adding an attached garage to the opposite side. The proposed is 28.25 feet of rear setback, the difference being 1.75 feet. The third variance is for the steps from the mudroom to the rear yard. These are just steps, and the proposed, where the rear is still 30 feet, the proposed is 18 feet, the difference being 12 feet. And the second set of steps going from the kitchen to the patio. The proposed is 17 feet, where the required is 30 feet, and the difference being 13 feet. The last variance is for the patio, the proposed patio, where the required is 10 feet, and the proposed is 5 feet, the difference being 5 feet. So we have 3 hardships for this project. The first hardship is the existing house that is non-conforming to the rear yard setback, and we're aligning with the existing footprint. The second hardship is that the lot has an irregular shape. It's an L shape, where the house is situated on the short leg of the L, the base of the L. the property is substandard in depth, where the minimum required is 120 feet, but our property is 102.62 feet, and that is the area where the house is. It's worth noting that the difference between the minimum required in depth and our property is, what our property has, is 17.38 feet. However, the difference, and that is the variance that we're asking for, between the difference between the required and the existing and proposed is 7.21 feet. And I would like to also point out that the proposed additions comply with all other requirements of R2 zone, that is where this house is located. I would like to go to the aerial view that we submitted, if everybody has it available. The aerial view, I took that from Earth, what is it? Google Earth. And I took a picture of it. Just to orient ourselves, the corner of East Ridgewood Avenue and South Pleasant, that corner is where the restaurant Wasabi is. And so if we are on South Pleasant, to the left of Wasabi is our property. Across the street is the Somerville School. We're proposing to remove the garage that is on the left side of the house and the driveway, and for two reasons. Having a driveway away from the school, we think is a safety reason. We were concerned that at peak times of the school, coming out of the driveway on that side, right across the street from the school, would be a safety issue. So we're proposing having the garage on the opposite side. And that way, that is a utilitarian space for the garage. We would use it as a buffer in the first floor from the restaurant and the parking lot. So I would like to emphasize that the neighbors behind, on this picture, you can see that the house of the neighbors behind us will not be impacted by this variance. Our house starts at the last 59 feet of their property. You can see that's the property I'm talking about, is the one that says 695K. And our house is clear of the neighbor's house behind. That line, the common line that is our rear yard line, is 82.5. That line, if we take it to the right, you can see that is the end of the garage, detached garage this property has. So we're clear of even the detached garage. So they will never see that, this house from their house. And in addition, there is a mature and dense vegetation between the two properties. So that helps as far as the visual buffer. So I think that's all I had to say on this photo. I would like to go quickly over the photos that the homeowner took about 2 weeks ago, of the basic photos. So if we look at the front elevation, on the left, we're removing the garage and the driveway, and we will be adding the attached garage on the right side. away from the school, and it will be a buffer from the restaurant. Looking at the next photo, that is the left side elevation, we can see the rear yard. The second floor will be aligning with the existing rear, the foundation, and the first floor is the existing footprint. And you can see the dense, mature vegetation that is between the two properties. We are also proposing adding landscaping for extra privacy. We will be using green giants or arborvitae. The photo of the rear elevation, you can see the first floor is about 2'6" from grade. And that's why we need the steps, stepping out from the kitchen and the mudroom into the backyard. And the right side elevation, that is the last picture, and that's taken from the rear looking towards the front. That is the side setback, and you can see the mature vegetation between the restaurant and our property. So that gives you the general idea, a sense of the property. So if we can go now to the floor plans. I'm going to take a little sip of water. Okay, so the first floor, we're maintaining the footprint of the house, and the kitchen is in the center of the house, and it's all about the kitchen. We all know that the kitchen is the center, the heart of the house, and that's where we are locating it. In addition, that's the same location that the present house where the kitchen is right there in the center. So we're maintaining the location of the present kitchen, and our design intent is having the desired visual connection between the kitchen and the patio. So that's where we have the variance. You can see we're indicating we're 5 feet from the property line, but the patio is low, flush to the grade, open space. We located the patio, we tried as much as we could to locate it all the way to the left. And you can see the shape, and that was intentional because we wanted to have the patio with the table, but also a sitting area. So we gave that shape once we passed the line of the setback. So that area of the sitting area of the patio, that doesn't require a variance. So the only area that requires a variance is where we have the table and where we're indicating the 5 feet. So that is all. Then the steps that require the variance. We need the access, the direct access, of course, from the kitchen to the patio. That's where we need the variance. And then the other one is the steps that we need. We need the access from the mudroom to the rear yard. Just in case, for instance, the kids are playing outside, people are in the backyard, they need to use the powder room. It's a good flow to be able to come into the mudroom and use the powder room without having to cross the entire house. Then the last one is the garage. The garage that we're proposing on the right side, you can see the line that we're indicating, the line of the rear setback. At the worst point, that is the rear corner, that's where we're encroaching 1 foot 9 inches, 1 foot 9. But the garage, I want you to notice that we are recessing the garage. We didn't indicate it on the drawing, but we are recessing it 6'5" from the existing corner of the house. We cannot recess it anymore because I wanted to have the difference of plane in the front of 2'2" that you can see in the front of the garage related to the corner of the house, because I didn't want to have a long elevation in the front. I thought it was important for aesthetic reasons to have that break. So I recessed the garage in the rear as much as I could, 6'2", but the garage, please keep in mind, is 1 story, and at the worst point is 1'9", and on the other side, the left side, is only 12 inches. So it's behind dense vegetation again, so nobody's gonna notice that. Then going to the second floor. The second floor, not much to say other than we're aligning with existing, and where you see where the master bedroom is, that doesn't need a variance. That is the bump that goes beyond the setback. So we're clear of that. Looking at the elevations. The right side elevation, because the front doesn't need any variance, this right side elevation is showing the recess that I was talking about of the garage on the right side here. The corner of the existing house related to the corner of the existing house is 6'2". And as you can see, is 1 story addition. Then if we go to the rear elevation, that is the last page. The rear elevation, the building height is indicated on the front elevation is 32 feet 4 inches. And that is because, as we show on the first page, we comply with the 3 requirements to go above 30 feet in building height. And that is the minimum lot width, that is the requirement 75 feet, and our width is 150.15. The maximum height of the building, the requirement is 300% of the shallowest side. In our case, is 19.75. 300% of that is 59.25. We were saying on the first sheet is 33.25, but actually we ended up making it lower. So the building height is 32.25. And we can do that because we comply with the 3 requirements, and we consider that in proportion, because of the length of this house, it was appropriate to have that height. For aesthetic reasons, also the scale and the pitch of the roof was appropriate to have it at 9 and 12. Let's see, what else? That is it for the rear elevation. So in summary, we have 3 hardships. Non-conforming is that the house is non-conforming to the rear yard, the existing house. The property has an irregular shape, and the house is in the short leg of the L and is substandard in depth, and that's where the house is located. We will be aligning with the existing footprint in the rear and will not be worsening the non-conformity with the second floor addition. The proposed additions comply with all other requirements in the R2 zone. The neighbors behind, this is very important, will not be impacted by this variance. Our house is at the very end of their property where there is no house. The garage is 1 story and recessed from the existing house 6'2". The 2 sets of steps are low and open air, and the patio is located as far to the left as possible while maintaining the necessary connection to the kitchen. Also, we're proposing additional landscaping in the rear that would serve as additional buffer between the 2 properties. So in conclusion, we carefully designed this house to minimize any impact with the neighbors. Our design is logical with the most efficient use of the space. The proposed additions will not impair the intent of the ordinance and does not represent any detriment to the neighbors. Our work will support the goal of maintaining and updating homes in this area and in this neighborhood, and your approval will support the goal of maintaining and updating homes in this area. So I respectfully encourage the board to the granting of this variance, and I thank you for your time and consideration. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that very helpful walk through the documents. I have one question and then we'll kind of go around the horn and get other questions from board members. On the patio, could you describe what it would take for you to make the patio conforming and not require any variance?
It will require it would require moving the outdoor kitchen to the left side, but most importantly, it would require to push the table further to the left, that it would be problematic as far as the visual connection that we always need from the sink to the table.
Yeah, no, I understand why you want the table there. What I'm trying to figure out is, if you built a patio by right without a variance, what would it look like? How far to the left? I see a line, it says line of setback, right?
Yes.
Would all of the patio have to be to the left of that line or no?
It would have to be yes, because we have to be further than the line of the side setback. Yes.
No, can't you be, it's 5 feet off the property. It has to be 10 feet off the property line.
Correct.
Right, 10.
So only 5 feet in, further in, closer to the house, Sergio.
So,
okay, so if you go,
you could put the table, the landing would have to be smaller for them to condense, to move everything and not need a variance.
yes, we will have to reduce the size of the door, reduce the size of the stairs, and have 10 feet, I'm measuring 10 feet from the property line. It would be pretty much the line of where the chair on the left side of the table is, the end chair of the left side of the table. So I don't think we would make it.
So you go, can you, where the couch and the 2 chairs are, can you make the patio larger going back without a variance?
Yes, but that would be completely disconnected from the kitchen.
All right, so what I'm saying is, there are definitely ways where you can modify the plan of this patio without requiring a variance. So unlike the house itself, the 2nd floor addition, which by going up, there's no way to go up in a way without requiring a variance.
Yes.
You could build a patio which would have a table, an outdoor kitchen, and a full living room set without a variance.
Yes, that's correct. However, it would be complying technically with the ordinance, but it wouldn't be a
Yeah,
good
that's the only
flow,
question.
and it
No,
wouldn't
I
be
understand that
desirable.
it's not what you want. All right, so that was my only question. Let's move on. Greg, you've recused yourself, so Matthew, you're up.
Sure. Coming out of the mudroom, there is a landing followed by the concrete pad.
Mhm.
And as I understand it, that gets into the rear yard setback. Is that correct, that landing?
The one, the concrete pad, or the landing,
The
one that says
landing with
landing?
the steps.
Yes,
the one that
that
says landing. Yeah.
that's encroaching into the rear setback. Yes, that's going for a
Okay,
variance.
And if that was rotated 90 degrees to the left, could you make a smaller landing so that it didn't encroach as much?
Yes, I could do that.
Okay. That's the only, I just wanted to see if that would work. That's the only question that I have.
Thanks,
I would still
Matthew.
need a variance.
Yes,
And,
I understand.
yeah,
I
okay.
understand, but it would be less. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Dan Perlman, any questions? Dan, do you have any questions? You're on mute.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. So so the variances are the steps coming off of the kitchen, right? The steps coming off of the mudroom,
Yes.
the patio, the larger patio with the table and the kitchenette, or the kitchen area,
Mhm.
and the garage and the second story addition. Yes.
Correct.
Okay. So we talked about the patio and we talked about the steps.
Yes.
And just for clarification, what does the dotted line that comes through the patio coming off of the mudroom and going through the other patio, what does that dotted line represent?
The dotted line, the land, where it says landing by the mudroom?
Just to the west of the second story addition, there's a dotted line that comes west and
On the floor plan?
in the site plan.
Oh, okay. Okay, so we're looking, that is the projection of a roof overhang. If we look at the rear elevation, that is.
Okay.
Okay.
I understand that. And then on the garage, so you've outlined the area within the setback of the one-story garage addition, and it looks like you're west, right? You're west by a couple of feet because you want to line up the garage door with the interior door. Is that the idea?
Yes, that is one reason. The other reason, because I want to make a break in the front, a difference of planes between the front, the main house, and the garage. I don't want the garage to be flush with the main house because it's going to look like a very long house.
Right, and and I recognize that you've said that you made it very clear that based on the buildings that now exist on the property to the rear, this wouldn't interfere because of vegetation, which looks like their vegetation. And I'm looking at the garage. The garage would be the part that overlaps primarily onto where their lot is, right?
The garage would be to the right of the house.
So that would be the northernmost piece that?
Yes.
Right.
So it's still no house beyond.
I understand.
The neighbor behind.
I understand. And it seems that, you know, while if you come straight across, sort of north-south, I guess, would there be a potential, is there any impediment to angling the garage so that it stays within the line of the rear setback as well as the line of the side setback?
No, I think it would be worse. Well, the issue is that the line of the property line in the rear, not only is the property lines are irregular, but the line, that very line is skewed, is in an angle. So that's what's giving me more. It's not that I'm going further back with the corner. It's that the property line is angling toward the house. So that's my issue with trying to avoid the variance of the garage.
And just for clarity, how would that make it worse?
Because the property line is in an angle.
Yeah.
And our building is straight.
Yes.
So if I make it it's problematic to make the wall in an angle on a building that is 90 degrees straight. It would be awkward to have a structure in an angle with one wall. Is that what you are asking?
Well, I presume if you angle the rear wall, you could also angle the front wall. I'm just asking if there's any physical impediment on the property that would.
Yeah, well, it's that yes, the physical problem is that the line of the property line is skewed, and that makes it worse for us, and that's why I'm encroaching more on that corner.
I'm just asking if there's any. I think I have the answer. I think there's nothing on the property that would impede your ability to move the garage out and angle it so that it stays within the setback. I think that's a fair statement. While you may not like it and it may not look aesthetically as pleasing to you.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure there was nothing that I was missing outside of the four corners of the garage that would that ability.
Yeah, and the thing is that technically I could do it just literally to avoid a variance, but I don't think that's the intent of the ordinance.
What's the intent of the ordinance?
Is not to look in aesthetics, to look on pleasing, or that doesn't go with the property sitting right and in aesthetics. I don't think the intent of the ordinance is to look for odd volumes, but rather they don't want you to be detrimental with your design to the neighbors.
No, I understand. I guess, so then my last question is, if we're talking about aesthetics and it's not the intent, I would imagine the line of the rear setback is on an angle because the line of the street is on an angle?
No, I think that's the way they set it up. It seems like in the past, somewhere somebody subdivided this property and ended up with that shape.
Got it. Okay.
That's it.
Hey, thank you. By the way, lovely design. Thank you for
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, I have one follow-up question to Dan's line. So just talking about the garage and the line of the rear setback, the garage is presently drawn at 22 feet deep. If you went to 20 feet deep, which is pretty much an average garage depth, would you need a variance for the rear setback for the garage, or would that bring it within the setback requirements?
Yes, I will have to reduce 1'9". So 22 minus 1'9" is 20 feet 3 inches. That would be to the outside. So that means that the garage in depth for a 2-car garage being 20 feet is very tight.
Right, but it is currently a very common depth for a garage, 20 feet deep. And if you did it that way, you would not require a variance, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
All right, excellent. That was just my follow-up question. Next on Diana, do you have any questions?
I don't have questions. I have more comments. You brought up my questions earlier, Sergio, regarding the patio and the kitchen. So when we get to discussion, I'll bring up my concerns.
All right, thank you. Isaac, any questions or comments?
Yeah, I have
questions actually.
Yeah, questions. I have questions about the attic space. I just want to know, because we didn't cover that at all. And the height of the house is going up over our, I guess, standard height, but because of the size of the lot, you're able to go above the 30 feet. So I was just curious what the height of your attic space is, what the access to the attic space is, because it is a taller house than most of the homes in this area. So could you just elaborate a little bit on that?
Sure. The main attic of the house is going to be at the highest point at the ridge. It's going to be about 8'6". That is at the main house. And then, of course, because the pitch is 8'12", it goes down very quickly. Then for the garage, the building height, the attic height in the interior would be approximately 5'6". And then it goes quickly down because of the pitch of 8'12".
Okay. And what is the access to that? Is it a pull down, or do you have stairs built?
Yes, pull down.
Pull down. Okay. So there's no intention of building in that space other than using it as storage. Is that correct?
Not that I know of. Now, I don't think we can anyway, because we are limited by the gross building area, that we're very close to the maximum, so
right.
No.
Okay. Does the 8 feet, I can't remember, is that included in the building space, Bruce, or not?
Yes.
It is, okay.
So we got a stipulation at this point. It's an attic with pull down stairs. It's not going to have living space.
Okay. All right. Ms. Paredes, you included that attic space in your calculations, is that correct?
No.
No.
May I ask the board a question now?
I'm fine. Sergio, are you okay with that? I don't have any further questions.
I'm sorry, Isaac, your question, was that answered?
I mean, yeah, she answered the size of the attic as far as height is concerned. I don't know what the square footage is because it wasn't calculated in the current variance table. So I guess we do need to see that. She discussed the access to the attic right now is a pull down, so it doesn't sound like it's going to be used as anything but storage, because pull down is difficult to go up and down.
Or we could put a deed restriction saying that they can't use it for living space.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it would. I don't want this to hold up things, because if it's not going to trigger an additional variance, then.
May I say something as the homeowner?
Yes, please.
Hold on, I don't think you can yet. So.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to answer
She's going to get sworn in. She could answer the question if she gets sworn in.
Okay.
We're not going to swear in yet. Let's stay with one witness at a time so the record's clear.
So Ms. Paredes, you had a question. Sergio, if you're okay, I'm okay with her asking her question regarding I don't know what.
Sure.
Can I answer to Mr. LeBeau about the area
Yep.
of the attic?
Sure.
Please.
Because the attic is non-livable space, we didn't show the calculations for the area of the attic. It's irrelevant because it's unfinished and it has to pull downstairs. That's the reason we didn't show the areas of the attic.
Right. Yeah, I think the reason we asked that question because it's not very hard for someone to go in and sheetrock and add electricity at some point forward, changing the use of that room. So we just want to ensure that whatever you're presenting us today is in fact what will be there at some point going forward. And it doesn't change the actual square footage of use of the house. So the gross building.
Sure.
Bruce, maybe you can legalize that in better
Yeah,
terms.
I think the suggestion made deed restrictions ends it all.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I don't have an issue with it. I was just curious. I wanted to know. So I'm good. I appreciate you answering my question.
Sure.
All right. Thanks, Isaac. Gary, any questions?
Yeah, I got a couple.
All right.
Number one, if that roof is an 812 pitch and the house is 32 feet front to back, it's 12 foot 6 is the ridge line above the floor, not 8.6. Okay? Because 16 times 8 is 128 inches, which the last time I went to school was 12 foot 8 inches. Or 10 foot 8 inches, all right? But it says on the drawings that most of the pitches are 9/12. So I don't know what the pitch is. I know there's a lot of room up there. All right, that's number one. Number two, with the garage issue, I understand the change in plane by holding it back 2 feet, but you could take the entire garage, move it forward 2 feet. You don't need a front yard setback because you've got almost 50 feet to the front of the house. So you could pull the garage forward 2 feet proud of the house. You'd still have your change in plane and you'd eliminate the variance in the back. Okay?
Okay.
So there's a couple of things you could do. And I really just, when I look at the side elevation, that roof, it looks nice from the front. You could deal with that because of this changes in height. But from the side, that thing looks like a monster. It really does. So I think you ought to you could get 2 feet out of there and with a 7/12 pitch, which is still a reasonably steep pitch. Because actually, code you cited for the extra height requires a 9/12 pitch. All right, so if you go with the 9/12, you're at 12 foot 6 on the inside. And it wouldn't be the first time somebody changed an inside stair to gain that much real estate.
I have a question, Mr. Negritz. When you said the problem that you have with the height is with the main house or with the garage?
The main house, the garage is
okay. Now, but take into consideration, please, two items. One, that the house on the right side, the house is going to be 22 feet beyond the front elevation. I'm sorry, 24.5 feet beyond the wall of the garage. And number two is that on that side that nobody can see, because number one, you have dense vegetation, and number two, you have the parking lot of the Wasabi restaurant. It's not a residence.
Well, there's a problem with the vegetation because, first of all, the homeowner doesn't control the vegetation. Okay?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last
I said
part.
homeowner not control the vegetation. It's from the looks of the drawings you provided us, the trees in the back of the house belong to the guy who owns the other property. Number two, in the number of years I've lived in this town, I've lost 4 trees. Not because I wanted to take them down, but because that's what happens with trees. So and I wasn't even thinking of the elevation to the store side. I was looking at the elevation from the other side as you come north, South Pleasant, that elevation. So those are my comments.
Okay. Also, keep in mind that on the left side, our setback is 41.14, and we will be doing landscaping there as well. I know you think that, you cannot guarantee the trees, but that's what we're proposing to do.
Is that on the left side of the house? You're proposing to put the green giants there?
I'm sorry, I cannot hear you right.
Oh, I was just asking, you mentioned the landscaping on the left side. Is that the left side of the house you're referring to?
Yes, on the left, we're proposing to have on the left side, we're gonna have landscaping, but especially on the rear is where we're going to have the specific green giants or arborvitae.
Okay, I think I'd like to add a stipulation that on the left side, because you guys have removed all the vegetation on the left side. And there's no privacy to the house on the left there. That you put some type of evergreen.
Yes, definitely.
From the front of the property all the way down the side of the other house to give some barrier there.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And I'm sure the homeowner will testify what they're planning to do with the landscaping.
Okay, Gary, any more questions?
No, but you're not going to plant something that's going to be 32 feet high. I know that. And so, I'm looking at the left side elevation. And quite frankly, I just think it's too high. And it looks like it's about 2 feet. That's the problem. So.
Okay.
All right, we got it. So let's just get through the questions. We've got one more board member, Jonathan. Do you have any questions for Ms. Paredes? I know a lot have already been asked, but do you have any others?
Yes, I do. Most of my questions have been brought up already. I just would like to fine tune. But first, before I do that, I want to recognize for the record, first the architect and the applicant's interest to stay within the guidelines. And Ms. Paredes frequently mentions this, and so it's worth mentioning, and for the board as well to consider that her plans and the applicant's plans do try to stay within the guidelines, and that's not too easy to do sometimes. And this property is a little irregular, so that needs to carry weight, and will in my decision, that on the overall, there are issues that the board members have brought up, and I'll touch on them again briefly. But the scope and size of the project does stay within the gross numbers, and that's an accomplishment that cannot be minimized. So I'd like to make that clear as part of my thinking here. Now, I did have a concern about the roof. It does look from the elevations like it has a lot of space. So I would like to see some numbers on that. And if there's any way that the height of that could be diminished and not upset the aesthetic balance, I think that's the way the plan should go, especially if it's not going to be living space. If it's just a storage area with a pull-down stairs, then its size is not critical. And if there's some way that roof angle, as Gary mentioned, could be changed to reduce that overall bulk, that would be a nice thing. The issue on the garage, I think that's something that jumps off the page, and it conforms with the applicant and the architect's interest to stay within the guidelines, but also think safe. It is a very busy street when school is in session, so moving the garage and the driveway to the right side does improve the safety aspect quite a bit. It changes the parking situation there, and there's often people stopping along that curb line that should not. But moving the garage and the ingress and egress of the property further away from the school is definitely a plus. So that's another item that should be considered, and it will be by me, as addressing the positive criteria quite a bit. As far as changing the angle of it, I thought about that as well, to try and conform with the property line. But then the front of the house, the aesthetic of the house changes as well. So aesthetics have to be considered. They're not always the last and most important factor. But where the front of the home is now, and the setback that the architect has mentioned to give that change of plane, it makes it quite appealing from the street. So it has a very good appearance and a simple straight-in access. Straight up the driveway, right into the garage and out.
So Jonathan, I want to make sure, do you have any questions for the architect?
Yes.
Questions?
The question was whether or not they would consider making some change to that patio, as you have suggested, Sergio. The outdoor kitchen is a nice item, but do you need it? Or could it be rearranged to be closer to the home and reduce that side of the patio? Could that be done easily enough and still keep the closeness to the kitchen that they're interested in doing?
Yes, and it seems like more than one member of the board is bothered by that. So if this is something that is important for the board, and you will be more agreeable to approve this variance, we will change, we will move, we will find another location for the outdoor kitchen. And that would mean that we will be taking out about 8 feet of the patio on that right side.
Okay.
Excellent. John, any other questions before we open it up for the public to ask questions?
No, that's it, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. So now, for those who've dialed in, now is the time to ask questions of the architect. So this is not a time to make comments either in favor of or in opposition to this application. That time will come, but this is a time for questions. So Dylan, if you could see if anybody has raised their hand or chatted or wants to be unmuted, let's give them an opportunity to ask questions.
Okay, I can unmute everybody that hasn't talked and they can chime in. Hold on. Okay, that's everybody.
Okay, so does any member of the public have any questions of the architect? There being none. Okay, so no questions. This next would be if Ms. Curtain wants to testify. Does she want to provide any testimony? So I think it's sworn in.
Okay.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Please, for the record, give your full name and address.
Kelly Kirtanay, 20 South Pleasant in Ridgewood. I just wanted to say thank you guys for taking the time to listen to to Ziamara as well as myself. I just wanted to answer 2 of the questions that were kind of raised. One, the attic space is just going to be attic. We have no intention of sheetrocking it and making any kind of livable space. And then the second was the landscaping that's shown on the plans. It's all landscaping that's on our property, that side towards the Wilkes that I think Gary was questioning, as well as on the left-hand side. And as well as the rear, we are planning on putting the landscaping in all of those areas for our privacy, but also our neighbors as well as the business.
Excellent, thank you. Does any, I won't just go around the horn, just unmute yourself. And does anybody have any questions for the homeowner? Okay, there being none. Ms. Parede, is anyone else going to give testimony this evening?
No, but I don't know if it's appropriate that I ask a question now to the board.
Sure, go ahead. Sure.
Regarding the building height and the pitch, would the board feel better if I keep it below, you know, if I stay within 30 feet?
Yes.
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 Okay, so because what I am proposing after listening carefully to everybody, I would like to propose to relocate. We will be relocating the kitchen, the outdoor kitchen. So we take 8 feet. So it would be the very minimum that would be encroaching into the setback regarding the patio. And I would address the pitch of the roof, trying to maintain it in 30 feet or even less if possible. So it doesn't, when I say if possible, is so it doesn't impact in a negative way the aesthetics of the house.
Okay, so what we'll do is let's open it up for any member of the public who wants to make comments. So now is the time to just make general comments, either in favor of, or in opposition to, or anything else regarding this application.
Danny raised his
Anyone?
hand.
Danny?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, hi.
Hi.
Hang on 1 second. Our board attorney just stepped away. He's going to swear you in. Bruce, you're on mute. We have a member of the public who would like to provide.
You would raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. For the record, give your full name and address.
My name is Daniel J. Cohen. My address is 836 East Ridgewood Avenue. And my wife and I own the property that basically all the variances affect. It is my understanding that the zoning rules are to give protection to all properties, both somebody who wants to build and somebody who is affected by that building equally. And the applicant's presentation spent a lot of time talking about what was needed. And the fact is, none of it is needed. The fact is that it's a desire. The prior owner raised a family of 5 in the existing house. Now, I'm not suggesting that additions shouldn't be made or that things can't be done to the property. I'm not suggesting that at all. I am suggesting that they be done within the rules that we all have to adhere to. And the fact that the lot is irregular, I'm not sure why that matters, because the applicant purchased the property knowing full well that that was true. And the fact that the applicant repeatedly said that it would cause no harm to us, and I'm not sure that they get to decide what causes me harm and what doesn't. And we use our backyard a lot. We have dogs, we have them outside and during the day, and the sunlight is affected by this thing coming into the backyard from the east, and the additional height significantly impacts that. The patio encroaches very much on our right into our backyard. The smell from the kitchen in the backyard would come into us all the time. And the same for the stairway that comes from the back of the house to get to the patio. Why is there a necessity? I understand the want. I understand it would be nice, but I don't understand the necessity for having two ways to get to the patio. And in terms of the garage, I agree with the gentleman who suggested the whole thing could be moved forward because it's not restricted by the existing building, and it would be a new structure in its entirety. And I don't understand why it would have to be not to spec. In terms of the second floor, I understand completely why an additional going up would have to stay within the existing walls of the existing house. I get that. I'm not protesting that at all. But I am concerned about the additional height and the projected eaves that come towards our property that would further restrict the sunlight. Another point I'd want to make is the vegetation has been significantly thinned by the homeowner and at their request. And as the gentleman said, vegetation, especially trees, it changes all the time. They're living things that could fall down or grow or get hit by lightning or whatever. And so I'm not at all suggesting that they don't have the right to have an addition, but I am suggesting that this addition is hugely an overkill for what they for need as opposed to want. And I think it significantly does impact it. I think it impacts the value of our property to have something like this looming over our backyard. Our backyard is one of the more desirable aspects of our property and significantly contributes to the value of our property. And if we were to sell our property, I think having a house looming over like that would impact somebody's desire to buy the property. Additionally, I also think that the kitchen, the outdoor kitchen being so close to our area which does have vegetation is a potential fire hazard. It's too close. And I would think that a kitchen like that should not be on the border of a patio, but should be somewhere in the interior of a patio, just to prevent that type of thing.
Anything else, Mr. Cohn?
I think that pretty much covers it.
All right, well, thank you very much. Is there any other member of the public online who would like to make a comment regarding this application?
I'm going to bring the other two right now. Where did the second one go, Jeffrey? Oh, there it is. There's a dial-in and then a Jeffrey Gaznick.
Anyone else? Mr. Gaznick or the dial-in?
Hello?
Yes.
My name is Luke Calvano.
Hang on one second. We're gonna get you sworn in, and then you could make your comment. Nope. Hang on, Bruce. You're on mute.
Again, you raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Give your full name and address, please.
Luke Calvano, 826 East Ridgewood Avenue.
Please proceed.
We're in the process of closing on the property at 826. We share a small area of backyard with the applicant. And much like the applicant, we look forward to, increasing the property value of nearby homes. And, we're very excited about any projects that are going to make all the backyards that connect look a lot better aesthetically, are usable for neighbors, and also to increase the value of the nearby homes. That's the only comment I have. So I just want to thank you for the time.
Thank you very much. Mr. Gazanik, we see that you're on. If you have any comments, just please unmute yourself and we'll get you sworn in. No? Okay. Is there anybody else on the line, Dylan?
That's it.
All right. We'll just give him one more minute in case he wants to jump in. Doesn't look like it. All right. Ms. Paredes, so you've heard from the neighbors. I just want to kind of go through my notes just so you have what our comments were. First, there were a number of board members who have a concern with the garage intruding into that rear yard setback. It appears that there are multiple ways for the garage to be made to comply, whether it's by making it smaller, angling it, moving it forward, or some other way, but that was definitely one concern. You heard multiple board members as well regarding the patio and how that intrudes into the side yard setback, but can be reworked without a variance. You heard about the steps going out and into the mudroom, which could be either eliminated or reoriented to again remove or lessen a variance. Multiple board members discussed the roof pitch. Issues were visually, even though the height is not a variance that's being requested. Visually, it looks like a lot of roof in a tall house. In addition, it results in a high attic, which even though there's a pull-down stair, could be reworked, whether by this applicant. We're not suggesting she's going to do that, but this runs with the home. The future homeowner could very easily just put a set of steps in there, and now there's an incentive to do so because of the height of the attic. And furthermore, there was a lot of discussion about the landscaping and the vegetation, which I think a lot of people had issues with, and trying to make sure that the neighbors, aren't looking at such a massive structure. So that's just kind of my notes. If there's anything that I missed, and there's a board member that wants to chime in, if there's anything else they've thought about or that I missed, so that the applicant and the architect can take that with them, because it sounds like they're going to want to come back with new plans. Anyone else?
I would like to make comments, a response to the various comments from the board and the neighbor.
So before you do, I just want to point out that you're more than welcome to make comments, but we're not going to negotiate any of these issues here so that you can then go back and feel like we've told you what we want, right? That's not our job. What we've done is we've pointed out what we think are issues, and then it's your job to go back and come back with drawings that you think are going to alleviate or address the issues that we've provided. I don't want to go through each one and say, okay, if the garage is this, you're okay with that. If the height is this, you're okay with that. That's not really the point. But please feel free to go ahead and address something if you'd like to.
I understand. Thank you. So I'm planning to address the issue of the garage and that variance. I'll find a way to eliminate it. The answer to the question or the comment the neighbor had regarding the two access to the backyard, whether they're necessary or not. Yes, they're necessary because this is a long house because of the nature of the property, and it wouldn't even be safe to have only one access to the rear yard because of the length of this house. So it is necessary. It's just the way I see it is as having two means of egress in the rear. The kitchen location that was also a comment from the neighbor. I don't know if he was referring to the kitchen in the house or the outdoor kitchen, but the kitchen in the house is in the rear and is in the rear and will remain in the rear. The outdoor kitchen, I already agreed to relocate it. The pitch of the roof will be modified, so we lower the roof. And the patio, I'm reducing the 8 feet. I will reduce the patio, but I don't find a way right now to eliminate that variance. But I will reduce it to be, to have the minimum that I can possibly have for the variance. Thank you.
Can I make one comment, Sergio? Regarding that patio in the backyard, I never got to really make a comment, but I'm not so sure that there is a way to eliminate that variance. I just want to make that clear before you come back, at least for my opinion. There's a way to minimize the landing, minimize the bushes next to the house to get the 10 feet. It's going to take some work, but you can eliminate that variance in the back. So that's just something I wanted to voice my opinion. I didn't really, it's not a question, mine's a comment.
Okay.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I agree with you. So if there's anyone else who just want to make sure that Ms. Paredes understands their concerns before she goes back and redraws this, now is the time, just like Diana brought up her concern.
Thank you, yes.
All right, so I think you have what you need from us. Jane, what do we look like in terms of a date?
So they could probably come back on June 30. The calendar isn't as heavy as you think it is, because those are the applications that were carried because they were going to be a regular meeting.
Okay.
I don't know that they are all going to be heard on the 30th, but we could probably go over this one again on the 30th. So June 30?
Yes. So when what's the deadline to submit the plans?
That would be by, June 19.
June 19th. Okay, very good, thank you.
All right, so this application is being carried to June 19th, 7:30 p.m. No further notice required, and it'll be via, what's that? June 30th, I'm sorry. June 30th, and no further notice required, and it's going to be via Zoom. So a Zoom link will be provided.
Thank you very much for all the comments and the feedback from the board.
Thank you for your time.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, great. We already memorialized those two resolutions. Anything else anybody want to discuss, or we want to just adjourn? Diana?
Quick question. When do we foresee Zoom meetings being discontinued? What's the plan?
Well, it's going to be something that would come from the state as it pertains to how many people can congregate inside. There's phases. From what I've been reading, I see that Governor Murphy today modified some things as far as gatherings outside are concerned, but that's what the progression will be. And then if they were to say you can have a number of people inside a room, social distance, the next challenge is how does that room that we sit in accommodate that with people and microphones around the room? Where does audience sit? The 6-foot situation. Ridgewood's got a large council chamber. I think there's many towns that cannot accommodate those type of restrictions. So that'll be, I think, probably that's going to be a decision that we don't make. it will be a decision that the governing body and the administrator would have to make, village clerk, as to when they think they can meet the mandates of whatever the executive order is at the time.
Okay, thank you.
I feel your pain. I'm about 4.5 to 5 hours on Zoom now, so. I started at 5 o'clock.
I like this one a night. I'd rather do one a night, more nights.
Well, that's my question. So our next meeting is June 23. We're definitely going to have one on June 30. The other possibility was a June 29 one. Did you want to do that or did you not want to? Because I think I said to somebody, I'm working from home for the next 2 weeks, so it's going to be trickier to figure out. But I need to know like now if we're going to have June 29 and June 30.
So June 23rd,
Is
how many applications are on the docket for that?
We have one coming back, and then we have 3 new ones. 2 of them, I think, will be quick for sure. I can never be sure, but they look like they should be.
And so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 now for the 30th?
So for the 30th, those ones that we carried were the ones that were, I don't know what's going to happen with them. They're the ones that were originally noticed for April 14 for a regular meeting. So they either have to renotice for a Zoom meeting or keep putting it off until we have a regular meeting.
Oh, okay. And
So
that's their choice?
I've offered them June 23rd a little while back, and they still wanted to wait a little bit longer. I told them they would have to renotice, and they wanted to wait a little bit longer.
Is that all
So
of them?
right now,
all 4 of them wanted to do that, or just some?
That was all 4 of them.
Okay, good.
So is the question, do we want to have 3 meetings over the course of 8 nights?
Yes.
I could say, while I love volunteering and being on the board, that would be a lot of meetings for me to attend with 8 nights.
And I know Matthew can't come on Monday, right?
Correct.
Right. So.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able. So I schedule a lot of work meetings at night. I work through the night. People in different countries. It would be hard for me to schedule 3 meetings in 8 nights.
So should we stick with the 23rd and the 30th?
Yes.
So the 30th is Courtney and who else right now?
30th is what?
The 2 tonight, Phillips and Courtney. Those are the 2 that are.
We carried
on to the
one.
30th?
Yeah, and Phillips was carried to the 30th, and we just told this one to come back on the 30th. And I could put maybe one more new one on, and then.
How many are we behind then? About.
I don't have that right in front of me. We're getting some more, a few more in now, so.
Under 10 over?
I can email you tomorrow and let you know where we're at.
Right, because I thought we were going to identify a matrix and identify if we were behind a certain amount more than usual and schedule meetings that way. Are we still doing that? I think that was a discussion a couple weeks ago.
Absolutely.
I can, if you hang on a second.
Jane, if we had a meeting on the 29th, what would go on the 29th? New application?
I would just have to put it, I would put on a couple new ones.
It would be new ones. Okay.
We do have, and we have, I know I emailed you guys today about one commercial one that we have.
The signage for the Shell station?
Yes.
Okay. And Matthew, you had sent an email regarding July meeting that we never got a chance to chat about.
Yes, sorry. Bruce, I spoke to Bruce about it. So I am moving within Ridgewood, and there will be a gap in time when I am not living here, as I'm moving from one house to the next. So Bruce had spoken to Matt Rogers and had asked me to not attend the board meetings for basically the month of July.
He's got a gap between ownerships. So I talked with Matt about it. It's happened once before with a member way back when.
Okay. So I'm also moving
I
within Ridgewood.
sold my house faster than I thought I would.
All right. So just so we're clear, I'm also moving within Ridgewood, Bruce, in July.
He had proposed setting up a tent down at the village square, and I said no. So the gap.
So I my house too, closing in July, but I already bought a house in Ridgewood.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
I'm not gonna live in it. Okay, so as long as I have an ownership in a house in Ridgewood, I'm okay.
That's right.
I may be living in the Jersey Shore for a while, so
yeah, that's okay.
All right, that's good. So I don't know. Look, do we have 5 people who can do the 29th? I totally respect Dan. I totally respect who can't make it. But if we've got a lot of applications floating around, and I'm worried about these 4, they're going to want to come back.
We have 16 applications.
There's 16. I'm willing to do the 29th.
5 of those are scheduled. So there's.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyone else feel like doing a lot of zoning board this month?
I could do the 29th because I'm not going to be around much in July. I'm going to most likely be traveling.
Okay. 2.
I'm okay with those 3, Sergio. I can do 23, 29, and 30. I can run out the end of the month if those meetings are really helpful. I can be here. Will be here.
How about Greg?
I can do all 3. Yeah.
All right. I'm twisting arms. I don't mean to, but Diana, Gary.
I can do. Just don't give us 7 of them on a night.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to
I'll be
avoid.
done at like 10 o'clock. I'm out of here.
It's the day after my birthday, so I might be a little tired.
Yeah. So can we do on the 29th, even if we get 1 or 2 out of the way, just because I don't want July to roll around and you know we're doing 5 applications a night via Zoom.
Okay.
That would be brutal.
Yeah. Bruce, the 29th and 30th, okay with you as well?
Okay with me. Yeah, as I said, I think you're better if you can make it shorter nights than trying to go long on Zoom. As I said, I started at 5 o'clock. I did 8 applications and another 10, and then I came to Ridgewood. But the 8 all had to do with outdoor dining. It was an emergency meeting. So
oh boy!
All the restaurants are opening in Ramsey. Nobody did anything in Ramsey because they have to renew and have a hearing once a year. And new restaurants that never had outdoor before wanted to do it. So they called an emergency meeting to get them all up and running. So 10 locations. They actually using, Ramsey's going to use one of their borough lots for restaurants to go there. So, but when you do, like I'm saying to you, when you started, what is this, 9 o'clock or thereabouts? Yeah. So 4 or 5 hours. It gets
it's a lot.
Yep.
All right, and Jane, that's okay with you, right? I know you're working remotely. You could do 29 and 30th. All right, so let's do it. Let's do a quorum. Let's do it.
All right, what was that?
If we do meetings on the 23rd, 29th, and 30th.
Yes. That's what it said.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right.
All right, excellent. All right, unless anyone has anything else, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Good night.
I know it was only 1 application, but it was still only 9:15. Have a
We
good
can
night.
go to Steel Wheel. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Take care.